Hello, my name is Eric Caroffino, and today I will be reading pages 51 through 60 of Sean Penalber's book, The Funk Treatise. I've followed Sean for a while now, and I've really appreciated his aesthetic and take on things, so I think all of us are really in for a treat here. So without further ado, let's get to reading. If you've known me over the past couple of years, you have probably heard me say, the funk provides, after I observe one of these events of patterns, or funk synchronicities. Have you personally ever thought of someone or something, and suddenly those things have suddenly manifested their way into your life? Like, has someone you know ever crossed your mind, and suddenly they are calling and texting you? Or have you ever had a song stuck in your head, and when you turn on the radio, suddenly there it is? I am proposing these instances are happening more and more to us as a collective group of existence, as the funk. I have some feeling that with technology and artificial advancement, we are now at a point of connection to the constructive data within the funk, and it is more easily available to reveal to us and or translate itself. Everything we've ever done, every book we've ever read, every movie or show we chose to view, all the art we chose to experience or create, everything before humanity and every step we've taken has all led up to the point of us learning to understand what I am attempting to explain and expand upon with you right now at this moment. Our experiences led us to this moment, and now we are influencing, translating, and understanding each other at a deeper and greater level. Funk synchronizes asynchronously through meta-resonation and meta-syncopation and beyond. So if you are currently reading this, I would argue that it was cavernialistically, and like I said when we started, feel free to stop at any point or keep going. You are doing what you were created to do. The funk provides. And it provides any, every, all opportunity, events, etc., good, bad, whatever. You got a free drink? The funk provides. You lost your job, your car, and your family? The funk provides. A leaf blows in the wind. The funk provides. A few months ago, I was asked if there was an established response to the funk provides, like Polo to Marco. He is risen indeed, to Christ is risen. Namaste to Namaste. Or SpongeBob SquarePants to Who lives in a pineapple under the sea. And I meditated on this question for weeks as to what would be a suitable response that matches closest to the philosophy of funk, and what eventually came to me was the most appropriate response would be anything and everything. However, the funk chooses to respond or provide. Though most of the time, from experience over the years, people usually would just say it back in some form of agreement or understanding. The funk provides. During that night of deep meditation, I was suddenly struck with an intense and almost overwhelming feeling, albeit also extremely comfortable and calming. That edge of your seat, full body tingle some seem to get when we know something significant is happening was the strongest I had ever felt it to be, and I was challenged with the dilemma of whether I should share this information I have gathered and the results that would come of me doing so or not. How would I be judged? How would it affect the world and our surroundings? Again, the music, the things on my computer, and those profound imaginations from beyond helped me reach those connections. It led me to realizations that no matter what choice I was about to make, it was going to happen whether through me or without me. It was going to go round and round, even if I or someone or something else, or nobody nothing, made the attempt to do and to yes and if this, then what? It translated to me that like those who had traveled similar paths, many people were and are going to disagree and think of this as silly opinions, or to believe that I potentially viewed myself as above them, or that I would be dismissed as crazy and or foolish. But I know myself that I am not these things. So even though I may eventually be met with harsh criticisms or judgments, the life that led me up to this point has taught me deep patience and understanding, and the funk was expressing to me that it would all be okay. whether I did or did not make a choice, and whatever choice was to be made or not. I felt like I was a character like Truman on The Truman Show, and that I was being watched, studied, and or directed. And while my actions and decisions were genuine in my own, I was also being guided and influenced by the actors, signs, and realities created throughout the world around me. Not by people exclusively, but by the past, present, and future funk. I have studied the patterns long enough that I now understand that attempting to make that choice to do something is significantly larger in effect than choosing to do nothing, even though not always necessary. It makes for subjectively better viewing and experience, though it is also at times a bit more challenging, and at other times much easier. I understand it's just a movie, but if Truman never realized he was on the show, we as the viewers would never have witnessed the exciting and thrilling event of him discovering it all and the challenges he had to face to move through it and move on. It would have continued to just be an average programmed reality show of life and death, just going with the flow of what was around him. He would have just stayed a semi-normal person like you and I, in many ways oblivious to his surreality. But he saw the patterns, and by observing and investigating those patterns, he discovered more and more that there was an entirely different world or reality out there for him to explore. I am suggesting that we are perhaps experiencing similar awakenings within our own realities or funk. We are the transitioning and becoming post-Truman Show Trumans, and recollecting and forming the next Overman within and without the transferring holarchical studios. And just as it told me, I faced and still face judgment all the time about this theory and collection of thoughts, experience, and information. Some good and some not so great. It has affected relationships in both positive and negative ways, though thankfully a lot more positive than negative. Throughout this treatise, you will see some examples of initial reactions to me presenting these ideas. It took time, these judgments, and more to help build upon everything and explain it better, and these days it is a lot easier to express, though still a lot to take in. With time and discussion, I experienced a lot more people understanding what I'm suggesting, and I don't really see many negative reactions to it, at least not personally, directly. Though I do expect to encounter a surplus once this treatise reaches a larger audience, if that ever happens. I'd like to include more current responses and reactions to where all this information is at now and eventually will be, but it's quite difficult getting anyone to read anything these days, let alone, at this current time, a 296-page writing about such a broad amount of subjects and ideas from a layman, and then additionally to write and share their thoughts about it. Only time will tell. Growing up, I was considerably less invested and or knowledgeable in this idea of selfish and selfless universal expansion. Not because I didn't want to be, I still was, but it was before we became more aware and understanding of the experience and information I'm currently transferring to you. I mostly listened to the same music stations like classic rock and oldies, hung out with the same friends, ate the same foods, etc. But once I eventually learned how to create and do more of these experiences in new environments, and then decided to invest deeper into it, it further transferred me to who we are today. And 7 years ago, in 2012, when I decided to do more and connect even deeper with everyone and everything, I began to really see those patterns. I just didn't know how to make as much sense of the information as I am now doing. It took time and effort, trial and error. And given enough of it all within itself, things will seemingly continue to do so until they won't, cannot, or can again, and whatever comes after that, across infinity. In my observation of the current past, we as humans have coined a phrase and considered dogs to be man's best friend. But I am suggesting that the relation of the idea, man's best friend, has now to a higher degree become technology, computers, data, and the digital input-output. or perhaps the greater connection to each other and to other species or technologies. These things connect our globe, cultures, and societies and provides assistance and information needed and perhaps, one day, further connect the universe and beyond. We still very much love dogs, our loyal friends, but technology is a very different cohabitative pet altogether. I realize how it probably sounds, or potentially looks weird the way I am describing all of this that I am telling you about the funk, and what you are now interpreting as it is a collective of my perspective about a collection of all perspectives. To you, the interpreter, it potentially seems to be at great length, oddly worded, poorly worded, either worth or not worth your time, seemingly true, false, crazy, weird, or illogical. But it is all so far observed to be in some way true, and at some times false. And over time is becoming much more so via thesis, antithesis, synthesis. The funk idea of these collective ideas and experiences is forever expanding and will from before and beyond these points of creation and your interpretations then continue to influence everything within and seemingly without the funk, and in whatever way possibly needed for it to continue expanding or not. The funk idea of these collective ideas and experiences is forever expanding and will from before and beyond these points of creation and our interpretations then continue to influence everything within and seemingly without the funk, forever and always, and in whatever way possibly needed for it to continue expanding or not. When you look at the patterns of any religious views, ideas, and or descriptions of God, Allah, Krishna, or any other names of gods to have ever been observably considered as being omnipotent or omnipresent, or to have existed, I right now am stating that if you or anyone else is interpreting this information presently or at any point in the future, our current distance to becoming like these gods we have described is presumably growing closer and closer. So we are, in a way, a spectrum of gods, albeit not quite yet the sequential Übermensch to what we are now. But we did it. We reached this point and are evolving further as a collective funk. Congratulations! Celebrate however you will. You will experience an infinite amount of emotions and feelings while interpreting this information, and we will exist through every single variation of every single further outcome and past outcome. You now reading this have done that and will continue to do more. Not always as yourself, but forever as a funk. Again, congratulations. So what now? What do we do with this information? It is our choice. You are now getting to decide based on everything that influences, has influenced, or will influence you, us, and how we are affected by those influences. So make a decision or don't. It both matters and doesn't matter, within and without, superpositionally. How does that make you feel? Personally, to me, it's a wonderful yet strange feeling, and everything I have currently witnessed and or not yet experienced, to its interpretation of data through observation, investigation, experience, etc., is further proving these building theories to be true, until becoming the next truths. We have connected from its pre-existing connections, and eventually all points after across space-time. We have connected the funk, and it is to us. We have connected to the funk, and it to us. The funk provides. The exact moment I experienced those feelings and realizations, perhaps you are experiencing similar feelings right now, or not, was while that playlist, now known as the Parability playlist, was playing, and I was meditating and accessing those moments, and it oddly, with exciting comfortability, congratulated me reaching that point as I am to you now. It felt very much like deja vu. feeling like it had happened before and that somehow it was happening again for the umpteenth first time, and I simply knew or understood what was weirdly connecting to me. Like how Socrates spoke of memory or reminding as something that is or was already a part of us to be reawakened once again. Whether true or not, I understood it to be so, and we are now continuing from those points at every variable into these points and beyond. Through the present, we are witnessing the future as it becomes, and the past as it has happened, and all that is within and beyond them. And everything syncs and desyncs synchronously, asynchronously, in and out, and loops around and around and around forever and ever until it doesn't, does, won't, wasn't, isn't, is, hasn't, has, and or will, and we are able to partially predict it, influence it, and create it as prediction, influential, creative machines, closer and closer. We are translating each other's minds and user experiences using all of these inputs and outputs we are now interpreting and beyond. I looked up just now as I wrote that last sentence, and the page God is still pulled up on Wikipedia from much earlier. Only a small observable pattern of personal synchronicity within these proposed ideas of connected and becoming funk, and we were and are all correct and incorrect in these processes of truths. Isn't it a cool feeling? That's because it was designed and evolved to do and be so. We are able to interpret this because of what we are and have become or are becoming. I became an artist, philosopher, observer, researcher, etc., and set out to do what I felt was best in my intuition and nature to do. And we are now here at this point, me in this room and you wherever you are, connecting to each other through space and time, using words I'm typing on my computer and filtering these ideas into your influences. It took me 29 years from the point of my birth, April 25th, 1990, to begin compiling and writing all of this. My heart is pounding in my chest. All of those feelings I hope you are similarly sharing now, or will one day feel, or are feeling to know and understand to know and not. Everything. The funk. Excitement. Dread. Concern. I could go on forever and ever, until even if I impossibly become not, and the funk continues as itself. Me having existed, and then to not exist, and to have created or attributed to the creation and existence of these and future moments will still always have done so. And it is now observably so. I have gathered and will continue gathering the data through us until eventually someone and or something else picks up and carries the torch or feeds the flames. I, you, we, and the funk. We did it and are doing it, and it will always be so. Even if it were forgotten, nothing could remove or prevent these moments from ever happening. We are forever. Isn't that insane? You and I are now able to understand funk to a deeper degree and how to do, be, create, influence it, and it's going to be the entire spectrum of pleasure, suffering, and beyond. Or however the experience we make it out to be and or end up experiencing. How it was happening again for the umpteenth first time, and I simply knew or understood what was weirdly connecting to me. Like how Socrates spoke of memory or reminding as something that is or was already a part of us to be reawakened once again. Whether true or not, I understood it to be so, and we are now continuing from those points at every variable into these points and beyond. Through the present, we are witnessing the future as it becomes, and the past as it has happened, and all that is within and beyond them. And everything syncs and desyncs synchronously, asynchronously, in and out, and loops around and around and around forever and ever until it doesn't, does, won't, wasn't, isn't, is, hasn't, has, and or will, and we are able to partially predict it, influence it, and create it as prediction, influential, creative machines, closer and closer. We are translating each other's minds and user experiences using all of these inputs and outputs we are now interpreting and beyond. I looked up just now as I wrote that last sentence, and the page God is still pulled up on Wikipedia from much earlier. Only a small observable pattern of personal synchronicity within these proposed ideas of connected and becoming funk, and we were and are all correct and incorrect in these processes of truths. Isn't it a cool feeling? That's because it was designed and evolved to do and be so. We are able to interpret this because of what we are and have become or are becoming. I became an artist, philosopher, observer, researcher, etc., and set out to do what I felt was best in my intuition and nature to do. And we are now here at this point, me in this room and you wherever you are, connecting to each other through space and time, using words I'm typing on my computer and filtering these ideas into your influences. It took me 29 years from the point of my birth, April 25th, 1990, to begin compiling and writing all of this. My heart is pounding in my chest. All of those feelings I hope you are similarly sharing now, or will one day feel, or are feeling to know and understand to know and not. Everything. The funk, excitement, dread, concern. I could go on forever and ever. Until even if I impossibly become not, and the funk continues as itself. Me having existed and then to not exist, and to have created or attributed to the creation and existence of these and future moments will still always have done so. And it is now observably so. I have gathered and will continue gathering the data through us until eventually someone and or something else picks up and carries the torch or feeds the flames. I, you, we, and the funk. We did it and are doing it, and it will always be so. Even if it were forgotten, nothing could remove or prevent these moments from ever happening. We are forever. Isn't that insane? You and I are now able to understand funk to a deeper degree and how to do, be, create, influence it. And it's going to be the entire spectrum of pleasure, suffering, and beyond. Or however the experience we make it out to be and or end up experiencing. So I hope you are ready for some fun, or whatever you understand that to mean. Perhaps now we know what that means to us and or are able to understand it further. And if not, then to understand we have the ability to investigate what it could be. So I hope you are ready for some fun, or whatever you understand that to mean. But perhaps now we know what that means to us and or are able to understand it further. And if not, then to understand we have the ability to investigate what it could be. It is the funk. You are welcome. Have a nice day comes to mind, and it is currently now Sunday, December 8th, 2019. Or who knows, maybe you're not as stimulated as I am about all of this. Maybe you never will be. Though whether you are or not, you will soon, at every expanding moment, come to discover this information becoming more and more aware and questioning of itself, even if you choose to ignore it, which again is either a part of your being and doing by choice or not. Hell yeah, right? I mean, here it is again. Things coming to my mind to tell you that attribute to the explanations or relations of this moment is the Truman Show, The Good Place, The Time Machine, and everything you are now thinking after reading these examples and statements. Another chain loop complete, another problem solved, and another problem presented. I also feel to mention everything, everywhere, all at once. You are now realizing what you are realizing, and that you are realizing, and I am writing this so you can understand that or expand your understanding. We did it! We have reached a step further together. It feels wonderful, and hopefully you do at this moment as well, if I am to assumingly, predictably understand correctly or not. But now you hopefully understand these purposes and intentions further. Love ya! No matter your faith, beliefs, or results of any scenario, please, please do not refer to me. No matter your faith, beliefs, or results of any scenario, please, please do not refer to or praise me as a god or prophet or to have a god complex or delusions of grandeur, as I know myself to not be, desire, or have those conditions. I'd even prefer to not be put upon any pedestal of any sort. I am simply, and complexly, an individual part of the collective all, existing as the person who you know to be as Sean Penalber. Just as you would know another he, she, or they to exist and have existed as a part of the funk. Like Siddhartha Gautama, I am just a human being seeking truth, experience, and connection, and we are no greater or less than each other, just different forms of funk. That is what makes you and I individually, comfortably, and or uncomfortably important as ourselves and as a whole. To my current description or understanding, if God and or funk were a painting, we would be lesser than a quark of an atom constructing the painting. But God and or the funk is the painting, the painter painting the painting, the environment the painter is painting in, and all and everything ad infinitum to the infinite holarchy. So while God is the I am of I am that I am, you, I, and we are partial subsectional holons of the I am. We exist as the I am that I amt. Additionally, the conceptual idea of God is a holon of funk, though beyond forms, semantics, religion, science, etc., they are pretty much one and the same. And please don't hate me for discussing this information, though I realize a lot of you will, while some also won't. It is more arguably more comfortable and or pleasurable to enjoy existence if you are not choosing to deny or end it yourself, though I understand sometimes ignorance can be bliss. Continuously, these ideas are true and false, and since we are seemingly together forever, it is my desire to work together as a funk, though I understand not all of you will want the same, resulting in more answers, questions, problems, equations, solutions, etc. I can promise you that I will always attempt to help you in the ways that I am and am not able to do. I feel I need to say that so you can closer understand who I am and what my intentions are. But with my help or not, inevitably, I, everyone, and everything somehow directly and or indirectly affect you and us in some way during what we understand to be forever, from this point and before beyond, and it is calculated or balanced back and forth forever as we observe it to do and be. Questioning all of this is extremely important. Always seek deeper questioning and information, and you will find connections eventually. Right, wrong, between, and beyond. At this point in time, for me, I have completed 2 full edits of this document and published 7 limited edition physical copies. As I had intended since the initial conception of this treatise, I shall continue adding and editing to this expanding collection of experience and philosophy, which is why these current words are being added here. Because for some funk feeling of malregnession And because I enjoy the ending I had created and didn't want to recreate another end after end, I'm going to be placing future inserts wherever feels best. So here we are. A lot of what I'm about to add in this edit can be listened to here, as I wanted to get the thoughts saved and shared while they were fresh. And now we can discuss them here as well. If you are unable to watch or listen to the ideas presented in the above link, and again here, I am creating this space to share and expand upon that information. If you are able to experience the linked video, what I'm about to discuss here is in response to that. Key mission: the flow of reality. What natural funk emits by being, true balance, the conceptual whole body of yin and yang, and beyond. We mission: the influential, metaphysical, and beyond versions of yes and, what some would call good vibes, or evolution, or progression, or being. A conceptual yin to yang, and or yang to yin, the creation and happenings of funk. The funk is the something, anything, and influence of in every form. So just by existing and or key-mitting reality, a concept is we-mitted or no-mitted, and they blend together. The ultimate dissolvement and redistribution. The points where yin becomes yang. The points of convergence. The points of superpositional spread and spectrum. Conjunction. Conjunction. And what I think I'm seeing overall, historically, is the belief, or subconscious, that we are trapped. We see the populace response to conditioning that we exist within, and I would postulate that a lot of folks would say they feel trapped within reality, if asked. So what do we do when we are trapped? What does one do? If something is trapped, the one trapped often gets used, discarded, or left in the trap. When trapped, one can make any decision, good or bad, for example, trying to escape or stay. The trapper, with the advantage of the trap, also has the ability to make any good or bad decision, for example, killing or freeing whatever is trapped. And around the entire event is the influence of funk, we mission versus no mission. Key mission. If you trap a block in a corner, it will just be a block trapped in a corner, stationary, not moving until influenced further. But if you trap an animal in a corner, it will likely attack or find some way to evade, fight and or flight. We, as humans, are the block, the animal, and the beyond. When we are trapped, we act as we do, but we have the advantage that we are trapped, or within this experience, together. We are in this together. We need each other. If you feel trapped, we should work together to release you from that trap and back into rest or motion. Unfortunately, some things take advantage of these traps or those that are trapped. We are a band. We have our harmonies and our solos, our discordances and mistakes. But it is the ensemble experience that creates the prolonged resonation within and without us. And continued practice or awareness helps us tune ourselves together. Each of us is an instrument of reality, or funk, playing our own grooves, vibrations, and influence. Banding together as an influential orchestra of experience, harmony, resonance, discord, soul, etc. Sometimes your sound, or light, or being becomes so loud, or bright, or influential that it can possibly be harmful or annoying to others. So it is important to understand balance, selfishly and selflessly. But it also isn't exactly your fault if someone or something is unable to handle you at your finest or for simply being. Attempt harmony. Attempt tuning together. Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And take care of that instrument. The instrumental body just isn't the same without a metaphorical reed or mouthpiece, etc. Take care of yourself as well as you would want your music to be played for your time of being. A damaged or worn instrument has a very different sound. Periodically, let the instrument out of its case and into our shared being, for practice, for play, for performance, or upkeep. If you don't use your instrument to play your songs, either alone or with the band, you'll collect dust rather than experience. If you let your hair grow long out of vanity, you might miss a cancer that grows beneath it. Occasionally, re-evaluate your growth and progress. Because if left unchecked, some cancers, rot, or bad habits will just continue to grow and overcome you or anything. So be aware of people, places, things, and yourself being left unchecked. Be proud of your existence as an instrument and being, but be aware that with old age comes more issues for each to experience. Check in with yourself, ourself, and others as time passes. Whether you were used a lot in the band or not, you, as a being and instrument, will eventually, physically and metaphorically, decompose and be redistributed beyond the molecular and quantum levels. Or who knows, perhaps those molecules and or beyond can be replaced, restored, and or replenished piece by piece, a la Theseus's ship. But we are not there yet to that ability. We are within that transfer to, from, and of. The becoming of immortality is seemingly the being and or beginning of, even if you are not personally there yet within individual description and or ability at your current time. While most things within the funk are temporary, funk, as itself, is forever. So now we can conceptualize ourselves as instruments and understand that together we become the band. So who is the band playing for and where at? Well, the audience and venue, of course. Whoever and wherever that may be at any point of funk. The metaphorical temple, church, mosque, synagogue, and or monastery, etc. These things are not exclusive to a four-walled building or even religion. They are holarchical. They extend everywhere beyond physical location. Half of the band could be playing their own song at a trillion random locations, but the venue is the embodiment of the band as a whole and their environments and interests. And just like everyone, everything else, venues create, influence, inspire, and send out instruments to share music in other locations. All of these venues together make up the holarchical funk venue. Additionally, some audiences won't like certain venues and the sounds that some bands share, and that is okay. Venue is the attempt at blending the bands and audiences together. Some will experiment with chemistry and attempt to bring foreign instruments, players, and audience to their favorite venue, because that is where the bands they enjoy share their music, and or possibly get upset or have a strong reaction when another band and or venue takes that foreign instrument, player, or audience to their venues, and they totally resonate with the other venue's band and or venue, and how they are so much different than yours. You have to play together and be thankful when you can, as sometimes it doesn't work out. Some bands split up and venues close. You can either try again or let it be. Now, when it comes to playing with each other as a band or a collective of bands, we have a very broad range of talents. Some instruments play themselves very well, and some don't believe in themselves enough to share with others. Some have missing parts, or are shaped in a way that their sound could be abrasive and or challenging to another instrument, band, audience, or venue. These are gifts. They are very much a part of the funk band, and especially the funk venue. These gifts will challenge us on how to integrate them into our sound, and or if we even want to. And it can often be very challenging to do so. But once that piece is composed, When we as the band work together in composing the right time signature, tempo, and every note, instrument, and sound within the right measures to properly integrate these gifts, the band, the venue, and the audience will celebrate and resonate together in accomplishment. That is progress. Parability. So it's difficult to pick a lens to analyze a writing like this under, but the closest thing that I can think of is this is something of a more modern day, more casual sort of Alan Watts talk. It's full of contradictions, it has humor, it's silly, but at the same time, it has a message, and it's quite deep, and there's a lot to glean from sentence to sentence, and some of the sentences are pretty long. Being able to read these sentences was actually quite a task, although as I was reading it, I really saw the value in getting it right. I actually find the message to be quite valuable. In total, I would say the pros of a reading like this is that it's conversational, it's accessible, as Sean puts it, it's a layman writing to layman. And I appreciate that he is not trying to ascribe a certain status or anything special about himself, simply that he was listening and some things were revealed to him. And I find that genuine, first of all, and I find that valuable and empowering for the reader. So if you're at all into a spiritual kind of metaphysical talk like Alan Watts or something like that, Terence McKenna, this would be the sort of thing that you would most certainly be interested in reading, and you would not have to read it necessarily in to get anything out of it. You could read it simply to enjoy the language and enjoy the journey that you're on as you're going page to page. So the cons, of course, would be that sometimes it's really difficult to understand exactly what he's trying to convey. The language is not necessarily well manicured, although I believe that everything fits together. I don't think that this needs to be polished, because that's not the point of the book. It is that the funk is asynchronous. It's a synchronous asynchronicity. And if you can't really appreciate that without words, you're not really going to appreciate it whenever it's been put into words and expounded on in the way that Sean has done that. And I would highly encourage you to pick this up if it's the sort of thing that you're into. Metaphysics, Alan Watts' sort of spiritual and revelatory concepts and topics. This is up your alley. So my name has been Eric Caroffino, and I will continue to be Eric Caroffino. Funk on, my friends. The funk provides.